Are you a content creator trying to balance work, family, and a social life? Then we're in the same boat. So if you're interested in practical tips and tools to stay organized and sane, you are watching the right video. Generally, productivity can be improved by proper planning, using existing templates and methods instead of reinventing things that already exist and work, automating tasks, and leveraging your own work products. Meaning, whatever you created at an earlier step in the process or even at some point in the past should not just get dusty on your shelf, but should be reused and save you time doing so. The question is, of course, how can you do that? I collected some answers and grouped them into three main topics. First, time management and content planning. Here I focus on scheduling and planning all the activities related to idea generation, content creation, and publishing itself. Second, my content generation and publishing process. Having planned all the activities, they still need to be executed. Here I go through all the necessary steps for generating new ideas, creating reusable content for multiple platforms, and publishing to all of these platforms efficiently. Third, tools and resources. This is all about the tools I use to maximize my own efficiency when creating and publishing content on various platforms. Here I also talk about how various AI or artificial intelligence platforms can help content creators create better content more efficiently. Let's start laying the foundation by actually making time for all the things that need to be done. Here is a simplified version of my own calendar. As you can see, I'm doing two things here. First, I reserve 90-minute time slots, ideally at the same time each day, although this is optional. And second, I split all the content-related activities across these time slots. This allows me to focus on one key step of the process per time slot, making it that much more efficient. Of course, you can and should adapt this to your own circumstances. For me, it looks like this. On Monday, I focus on idea generation, trying to find the next topic and creating a title and thumbnail for it. Very often, this does not even take 90 minutes anymore, and if so, I would already start writing and working on the script. On Tuesday morning, I officially start writing the script. For longer videos, 90 minutes might not be enough. In that case, I use a contingency slot in the evening of the same day. Wednesdays are reserved for recording A-roll, B-roll, and voiceover. On Thursday, I edit and review these recordings. This is almost never done in 90 minutes, which is why I reserved a second slot of 120 minutes in the evening of the same day as well. Fridays are dedicated to creating related content. This is usually a blog post, an infographic, a Twitter thread, and a carousel that can be used on LinkedIn and Instagram respectively. Once these content items are created, I schedule the publishing on all the different platforms. As you can see, each day, and especially the weekends, also includes time for family activities and my own health, doing sports and similar things. And of course, for relaxing on my own, mostly at night when my brain is anyway not up to the task anymore and I just want to chill a bit. On average, I reserve approximately 3 hours per day for content-related activities. A quick disclaimer here. If circumstances allow, I also work on content topics on the weekends, mostly for research and observing current trends. But this happens more on the fly and is not exactly scheduled in terms of time slots in my calendar. Let me quickly take you through my overall workflow. It has 4 major phases. As one would expect, the first phase is all about idea generation. As mentioned earlier, I use my Monday time slot for generating ideas and picking the next topic that I want to turn into content. The second phase is focused on content creation. In most cases, the first piece of content I create is the video. Once this is done, I start writing the post for my blog. As I usually write scripts for my videos, there is already quite some text that I can use with minor adaptations. This is already the first example of reusing your own work products in order to increase your efficiency. In parallel, it's always a bit of a back and forth. I'm working on the infographic. The infographic can function as its own individual content piece on different platforms, but it also gets integrated into the blog post, just as the video itself gets embedded there. Once the blog post is complete, I just summarize it and break it down into a Twitter thread. At that point, the content is usually mature enough to only need shortening, making sure it fits into the 280 character limits, and has nice content blocks, so each tweet in itself provides valuable information. This Twitter thread can then be easily converted into carousel files that you can use for LinkedIn and Instagram. This flow allows you to take an idea, create one content piece completely from scratch, the video, and adapt the rest based on this original content item, resulting in content items for at least 7 different platforms in a very short time. Now enter the third phase. This is where I begin publishing, or rather, the scheduling process for all these content items. I use a staggered approach and it looks like this. First, I publish a YouTube video and blog post on Tuesday morning. On Wednesday, I publish the Twitter thread. As the carousel can only be created once the Twitter thread is live, I publish that one to LinkedIn and Instagram on Thursday. And on Friday, I publish the infographic to Facebook and Pinterest. This may sound complicated, but with the right tools and a bit of organization, it's actually very straightforward and efficient. I will come back to the tools that I use for that in a moment. Phase 4 is all about tracking and measuring your content's performance. And I know there are tons of metrics out there and a lot of tools you could use. Personally, for now, I focus only on 2 or 3 key indicators per platform. On YouTube, I'm mostly interested on the impressions click-through rate and the viewer retention. These 2 numbers tell me how well my title and thumbnail are working in attracting people to actually click on one of my videos. And second, once they have done that, how interesting these videos are for them, seeing how long they actually watch them. For my blog, I keep an eye on the most visited pages, the session length, and the traffic source. This tells me, once again, what it is that people are actually interested in, and then how long they stay there. Do they probably read the whole page, or are they just taking a quick peek and then get bored and leave again? And by tracking the traffic source, this gives me another hint about how well my content items are doing on the different platforms. Which of these content items helps most in attracting viewers to my blog? For Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, I look usually at the impressions, meaning how often is my content presented to people on these platforms, and then at the engagements, meaning how often do people do something with this content, whether it's clicking on it to read the details or sharing it, liking it, etc. Content analysis is a huge topic and one can spend a lot of time on it. Once my channels grow bigger, hoping they do, I might use other tools and look at additional factors and indicators. But for now, these few numbers will do. So, this is my overall process, which, together with the previously explained scheduling and planning effort, helps to keep me on track with all my activities. And this brings us to the third major topic I mentioned in the beginning, the tools and resources I use to make all this happen. I'm going to mention a lot of different tools and platforms here. You will find links to all of them in the description of this video for your convenience. For continuously generating ideas, I rely on the Endless Idea Generator from ship30for30.com. You should really check out their website for the details, but here is a very high-level description of how it works. The first step is to ask yourself a simple question. What are all the problems I solved and all the things I learned in the past 2 years? Don't worry about structure or whether it's a big or small thing, just write down everything that comes to mind, very much in a brainstorming style. Once you're done with that, start grouping them into buckets or topic areas. Do as many as you need. Take 2 or 3 of these buckets which resonate most with you, which align most with the things that you actually want to talk or write about. In the next step, tailor the specificity of these buckets and ideas to match your own level of credibility. Your credibility can come from 3 different sources basically. First, you are the world's most known expert for a specific topic. Not many of us are. Second, you might not be the best expert in the world for a specific topic, but you invest a lot of time and effort into aggregating and distilling what other experts have to say about it. And third, your credibility can come from your own personal experience. The nice thing with that last one is that you don't need to be an expert. You just need to have done something that other people haven't done. Take me, for example. I'm definitely not the world's greatest content creator ever. But I did spend quite some time on this topic. I researched, I made my own experiences and errors, and now I'm sharing them with you. In the next step, you're using something they call the 4A framework. You can express each of your topics in 4 different ways. You can do it from an actionable point of view, explaining how something works. You can look at it from an analytics point of view, so here are the numbers about topic X. You can create aspirational content, saying, yes, you can do that. Or you can look at it through anthropological glasses, explaining how we came to where we are. Here is why something happened or why we do certain things in a certain way. At that point, you will have tons of ideas right in front of you. This can be overwhelming, so don't worry about the mass. Just pick the top 3 that you want to tackle first and start working on those. And that's it in a nutshell. Once again, you should really check out the website. They're offering this kind of information plus a ton of other things for free. And of course, if you're getting serious about content writing, I highly recommend signing up for one of their cohorts. So, assuming you have tons of ideas and published content, this can get very overwhelming and messy very quickly. To keep track of all my own ideas, drafts, and published items, I'm using a tool called Notion. If you're not using Notion yet or have not even heard about it, take the link in the description and check them out. It is a great and free tool not only for content creators, but for anybody who needs to track activities and their own notes efficiently. The specific template that I use was made by Thomas Frank, who is a very prolific creator in the Notion domain. He offers many different templates. The one that I am using is called the Creator's Companion. It costs about $150 and is well worth that money if you're serious about content creation, and especially if you want to create content for multiple different platforms and keep them well on track and organized. The template lets you track your content from the idea phase throughout the creation and publishing phase, and afterwards into the post-publishing and performance analysis phase as well. Along that way, it helps out with a lot of checklists, templates for video scripting, publishing, editing, etc. It is really a great resource for content creators who want to work more efficiently and don't want to lose track of all the content they create. Now for the actual creation part. For creating videos, I use OBS to record myself and my screen. I then edit the recorded material into DaVinci Resolve. Both of these tools are feature-rich, powerful, and free. My blog is running on a self-hosted instance of WordPress. I'm using Elementor as the editor for the content and a theme from WP Zoom. I use Affinity Photo for editing and creating all kinds of images and graphics, including the previously mentioned infographics. That one is not entirely free, but you can buy a lifetime license for a single fee rather than having to pay a subscription. In terms of functionality and features, it is very similar to Adobe Photoshop. The next content type in this chain is the Twitter thread. Now, there are multiple tools out there with which you can create Twitter threads. In my case, I'm using Buffer because I also use Buffer for actually scheduling content, as we are going to see in a moment. Once the thread is published, I use Taplio.com to create the carousel files from it. This goes very quickly, is easy to use, and creates good quality content for free. To publish my content to 7 different platforms efficiently, I use the built-in scheduling features of YouTube for videos and of WordPress for my blog posts. Additionally, I use the free version of Buffer to schedule content for Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest respectively. And last not least, I use the Meta Business Suite to actually publish content to Facebook and Instagram very easily. Once again, all of these tools are free and easy to use. As mentioned, I'm watching just a few key indicators for analyzing my content's performance, and I do it almost exclusively with the built-in analytics of each platform. The only exception is my website, where I'm using Google Analytics to get the respective insights. This covers the more traditional tools, but recently there has been quite some buzz about various artificial intelligence platforms and how they can be used to help content creators. Here are 4 of them which I find useful and easy to use. ChatGPT is probably the best known of these AIs. It's certainly the fastest growing. I find it very useful for researching topics, as long as you don't need to know anything that happened after September 2021. And for quickly creating outlines for scripts, posts, and even presentations. It is also quite good at rephrasing text. I really like that the interaction with ChatGPT is very much conversational. You don't need to follow a specific syntax or anything like that. And it's also great that you can ask follow-up questions on previously given answers by ChatGPT. Descript is an AI-powered content creation and editing platform. There are 3 main features that I believe content creators may find useful. First, Descript can actually learn your voice. You can train it by uploading a video. Once it knows how you speak, it can actually convert text to speech using your own voice instead of a generic one. This is very useful for key feature number 2, text-based video editing. If you upload a video, Descript will automatically create a transcript of everything you say, and then, using Descript, you can just change the transcript and the script will change what you are saying in the video directly. This is super useful for fixing small mistakes or correcting audio issues. It's also great for easily adding voiceover that was not in the original video. The last feature in the top 3, in my opinion, is the automatic removal of pauses and also of fill words like. And of course, you can combine these different tools. You could go to ChatGPT, ask it to create a script for a specific topic, then, after refining it with some follow-up questions, copy the script over to the script, let it create, and then all you have to do is add some B-roll, titles, maybe some background music, and you have a full video. I find this so interesting, I'm actually going to do a test myself, and I will publish a video about it very soon. Next up is Runway. This is an AI platform that provides a variety of tools. Here is a short excerpt. It can generate a transcript of your video, export it into an SRT file for subtitles in multiple languages. I use this all the time. It's not that the subtitle generation on YouTube is particularly bad, but Runway seems to be a bit better. It works quite reliably, even with my not exactly native English. If you often use stock footage of people who should not be recognized on video, you probably are aware that blurring faces from video can be a time-consuming task. With Runway, this gets much easier. You just upload the video of your choice and Runway is going to blur out all the faces for you. Another thing that can be done with the video editor of your choice, but is quite effort intensive, is removing background noise or even the background video of specific clips. Once again, Runway can do this for you quickly and effortlessly. And if we're talking about video background, it can even take out the original background and automatically replace it with a green screen. The quality of the result depends very much on your footage and you might need to fiddle around a bit. But overall, it's quite impressive. The last AI tool on my list for today is very much focused on audio file editing. Here are some of the tools you get with Audio Alter, a noise reducer, which does pretty much what you would expect. It removes noise from recordings. There is also a stereo panner, which allows you to pan the audio to the left or to the right as you wish. It also provides a tempo changer, so any audio file you upload at a specific tempo, you can then either slow down or accelerate without any quality loss. The next feature I have only been testing because it didn't have a real-life use case, but it's quite impressive. It's a vocal remover. So you upload a song and the AI is going to remove the voice, the vocals from the specific song, leaving you with an instrumental version only. The next one I use all the time. It's a beats per minute or BPM detector. I find it extremely useful when I have a piece of music that I would like to use, for example, in the background of my videos, but I don't know the beats per minute. So I just upload it, the AI will tell me the beats per minute, and this allows me to make sure that when I have to loop the clip, I can actually cut it very nicely and precisely to make sure people don't even hear that this is a loop. The last one I would like to mention is a format converter. So you can upload your audio file, whatever format it is, and convert it into any other format. Once again, this works very quickly and delivers good quality. All these tools have a free version, at least if they're not completely free. Some of them might have limitations in terms of number of files or number of minutes that can be encoded, transcripted or anything like that, but I recommend checking it out, playing around with them a bit, and if you think it's worth paying for them, you can always do so. If the free capabilities are enough for you, as they are for me, that's even better. I hope this helps and encourages you to create more content and to do so more efficiently. As always, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, ring the notification bell to make sure not to miss any future videos. All this should allow you to save quite some time and be more productive. However, there are always more things we can do to increase our productivity, which you should really check out in this growing list of productivity tips and methods. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.